The Chinese have announced that they are going to the moon, and in fact, they will probably beat the United States to it. NASA admitted last year that their time frame for reaching the moon is behind China's. Did you know that renowned physicist Michio Kaku recently unveiled China's mind-boggling discovery on the moon? Yes, you heard it right. Today's video, Michio Kaku reveals China's shocking discovery on the moon, and it's going to take you on an astronomical journey like never before. What could this unexpected lunar find be, and how will it revolutionize our understanding of the universe? A person of color will land on the moon, and after that, we're going to build a space station around the moon. Join us as we navigate through the cosmos to answer these burning questions and uncover the thrilling revelation hidden in the heart of the moon. Prepare for an adventure that's truly out of this world. The moon, our nearest neighbor in space, has always been a source of mystery. Recently, scientists from China have made some incredible discoveries that are starting to answer some of our biggest questions about the moon. Just 2 years ago, China sent a robotic spaceship to a big dark patch on the moon that we can see from Earth. This area is called the Ois Procellarum, or Ocean of Storms. The spaceship, named Chang'e 5, landed near a huge mountain on the moon called Mount Rumker. The most exciting part? For the first time in nearly 50 years, the spaceship gathered samples from the moon's surface and sent them back to Earth. The last time this happened was during a Soviet Union mission in 1976. These new moon samples have led to some surprising discoveries, especially about water on the moon. Many scientists had thought that when the moon was formed about 4 billion years ago, any water it might have had would have disappeared due to intense heat. But it turns out that's not the case. In fact, there is quite a bit of water on the moon, frozen into ice. This ice has mostly been found at the moon's poles, where it's always dark. NASA plans to send astronauts to these areas because having access to this water could be very helpful for future space travel. Let's unpack this astonishing revelation. The Chang'e 5 didn't just find water, it brought back more than 60% of lunar soil and rock samples rich with rare minerals like helium-3. But it didn't stop there. Even before returning to Earth, Chang'e 5 employed an onboard instrument to take measurements, which indicated the likely presence of water on the lunar surface. Water, a vital element for human survival, a resource rarer than diamonds in deep space, was found on the moon. The question then became, where did this water come from? Some scientists thought it might have been brought to the moon by asteroids, while others believed there could be an unseen water source on the moon. According to a report from Chinese and European researchers, the samples taken from the moon's northwest and brought back by China's Chang'e 5 spacecraft could hold the answer to this big question. These samples contain tiny glass beads of different colors, like little space pearls. But how did they get there? They were probably created from the intense heat generated by meteorites crashing into the moon. And the most exciting part? These little glass beads hold traces of water. Yes, you heard it right, water on the moon. Senu, a scientist from the Chinese Academy of Sciences, revealed that for every ton of lunar soil, there are about 2,000 kilograms of water in these crystals. What's even more amazing is that these glass beads are everywhere on the moon, from its equator to its poles. It's because of all the meteorites that have hit the moon over its lifetime. While scientists think the moon's water is mostly found in a form called hydroxy, it could also exist in a molecular state. They estimate that a whopping 270 billion tons of water could be locked away in these glass beads. In 2010, NASA estimated that the moon's North Pole craters held about 600 million tons of ice. But this new discovery suggests a much larger reservoir of water. And the best part is that this water could provide a brand new source of life where we least expected it. But that's not all. The lunar samples brought back by Chang'e 5 are much younger than the ones collected by the American Apollo program or the Soviet Union's robotic missions. Recent research shows that these water-holding glass beads have been forming for the last 2 billion years, especially during periods of heavy meteorite bombardment, similar to the event that caused the extinction of the dinosaurs 68 million years ago. You might be asking, how did the water get inside these lunar crystals? Turns out it's likely because of our sun. Scientists think that positively charged hydrogen atoms from solar winds seeped into the glass beads and combined with oxygen. When the sun heats up these beads, they release some of their hydrogen, playing a crucial role in the moon's water cycle. So, these glass beads don't just contain water, they control how it moves around the moon. With this discovery, the formidable challenges of space exploration are on the brink of transformation. It has spurred scientists to probe deeper to understand if the moon's water could serve as a lifeline for astronauts on extended missions away from Earth. A research team from the Institute of Geology and Geophysics at the Chinese Academy of Sciences plunged into the data. Their findings showed clear signs of water, and Chang'e 5's readings indicated H2O molecules based on their spectral reflectance, a measure of how a substance interacts with solar radiation. The implications were profound. Matt Siegler, a senior scientist at the Planetary Science Institute in Tucson, Arizona, suggested that the moon might harbor more water than previously thought. It was a far cry from the desolate landscape the Apollo astronauts described upon their return in 1969. The narrative of the moon as a dry wasteland started to crumble. The Indian Space Research Organization's Chandrayaan-1 found hints of hydration on the lunar surface, though it remained uncertain whether it was H2O or hydroxy. Further exploration revealed icy deposits in the shadowy craters near the moon's poles. When scientists revisited the historic Apollo samples, they found water molecules trapped in glass beads and minerals, leading to some skepticism. Was the water genuinely lunar, or was it contaminated by Earth's moisture? A month before China's lunar lander Chang'e 5 detected water on the moon's surface, NASA had made a groundbreaking announcement. They confirmed the existence of water in the sunlit parts of the moon, and they did it all from 45,000 feet above Earth. NASA utilized the Stratospheric Observatory for infrared astronomy to pick up the distinctive wavelength signals of water molecules. These findings suggest that water might be far more common on the lunar surface than we thought, potentially extending beyond the frosty confines of its poles. All previous studies had hinted at water's presence, but the real game-changer was China's recent lunar landing. As Matt Siegler pointed out, the spectral reflectance data obtained had to be carefully corrected for temperature to reveal how much water was present. The challenge, however, lay in determining the exact temperature of an object from such an extreme distance. That's what made the Chang'e 5 mission so extraordinary. By landing on the lunar surface, it was able to measure the temperature directly, eliminating ambiguity. But don't expect to find babbling brooks or shimmering lakes on the moon just yet. The water Chang'e 5 discovered was minuscule, hiding within the lunar soil of the region ironically named Ois Procellarum, or Ocean of Storms. Scientists believe this water could be the product of solar wind, a stream of charged particles emitted by the sun. When solar wind, rich with hydrogen atoms, strikes the oxygen in the lunar soil and rocks, it can create water. Intriguingly, the moon rock found in the same area showed a higher water concentration, hinting at another yet unknown water source, a rare lunar crystal. There's more to the story. Scientists made another jaw-dropping discovery, a rare lunar crystal that could provide an endless source of energy for the entire world. China's space agency, the China National Space Administration, CNSA, has been grabbing headlines with its impressive strides in space exploration, giving the likes of NASA a run for their money. Building its space station and sending multiple missions to space, China has made some astonishing discoveries, the latest of which has stirred the global scientific community. So, what is this sensational lunar find that was leaked by Michio Kaku, you ask? This crystal, found in lunar basalt particles in 2020, is made of a substance that was previously unknown to science and holds a key ingredient for nuclear fusion. That's the same process that powers the sun and stars in our galaxy. Following the leak, KESA and the China Atomic Energy Authority came forward to announce the discovery of a brand new lunar material. The mineral, christened Chengjia 5, was uncovered by scientists from Beijing's Research Institute of Uranium Geology while studying surface samples from the moon. China now joins the United States and the former Soviet Union as the only countries to discover a new lunar mineral. This discovery was possible thanks to the first lunar sample return mission since the 1970s, which successfully brought back more than 1.7 kilograms of lunar samples to Earth. The cherry on top? This new lunar crystal was named after Shangyu, the lunar goddess in Chinese mythology. The Beijing Research Institute of Uranium Geology called it chainite, Let's talk about the mission that brought us this extraordinary find. The Chang'e 5 robotic mission, which launched from Hainan province, returned to Earth with 1,731 grams of lunar rocks and soil, 46 years after the previous lunar substances were collected. This mission was an epic 23-day adventure and one of China's most challenging space missions to date. Following the successful return, the lunar samples were divided into 21 lots and handed over to researchers from 13 domestic organizations working on 31 scientific projects. This accomplishment carved China's name into the annals of space exploration history, making it the third nation to discover lunar materials after the United States and the former Soviet Union. Numerous departments, including the Chinese Academy of Sciences, the Ministry of Education, and the Ministry of Natural Resources, contributed to the research on these moon samples. The results of this research are fascinating. This tiny translucent crystal, discovered on the moon, is no wider than a strand of human hair, and yet it's opening doors to possibilities that scientists on Earth never even dreamed of. This crystal, which formed roughly 1.2 billion years ago during a time of lunar volcanic activity, has an extraordinary ingredient, helium-3. A surprise of such magnitude it compelled Michio Kaku to break the news to the world. Well, it's due to return to Earth in the coming hours, and samples of moon rocks and debris are awaiting landing from the unmanned mission. What's so special about helium-3, you ask? Helium-3, buried among the approximately 140,000 lunar particles recovered from the Chang'e 5 moon mission, is a rare and potentially transformative substance. While helium-3 is scarce on Earth, it's believed to exist in abundance on the moon, deposited over billions of years by the solar wind directly onto the lunar soil. The significance of this finding is enormous because helium-3 has been identified as a possible fuel source capable of revolutionizing the generation and utilization of clean, efficient energy here on Earth. Scientists have been drooling over helium-3 for a while now since it's a promising candidate for nuclear fusion fuel. To give you a brief Science 101, nuclear fusion happens when two light atoms combine into one heavier atom under intense heat and pressure, the same process that powers the stars. But until now, we've not been able to recreate this powerful reaction on Earth, one that produces more energy than it consumes. What makes helium-3 such an intriguing partner for this atomic spectacle? Helium-3 is special because it produces less radiation and radioactive waste compared to other elements, making it a safer and cleaner energy source. Today, our nuclear power plants use nuclear fission, which produces not just electricity but also radiation. This results in the tricky task of dealing with uranium, plutonium, and other waste. If we can harness the power of helium-3 for fusion, not fission, we might finally have a cleaner, safer, and more efficient way to produce nuclear energy. Although we're still without a viable reactor to harness its potential, the discovery of helium-3 has already ignited a lunar resource race. Multiple nations and private companies, including the United States and China, have shown interest in mining the moon for its helium-3. With Chang'e 5 uncovering new deposits of helium-3 on the moon, this lunar resource race could accelerate even faster, pushing us toward an era where the moon's mineral resources are no longer science fiction but reality. As we gaze at the moonlit sky, we may no longer just see a celestial neighbor, but a beacon of clean, efficient energy for our future. Scientists are eyeing this element as a potential powerhouse for nuclear fusion reactors, a kind of energy source we are yet to master here on Earth. But wait till you hear about the plan for the Chang'e 6 mission, slated for 2024, where they aim to gather the first ever samples from the moon's dark side, which remains forever hidden from our earthly view. While it's too soon to put a price tag on this potential fuel source, it's safe to guess that it won't be cheap. But strange colored substances on the moon pose a challenge. We need a large amount of these lunar crystals, especially if we want to power fusion reactors. Sounds like a plot for a new space movie, right? But hold on, it gets even more interesting. Just 25 tons of helium-3, roughly the cargo bay of a space shuttle, could power the entire United States for a year, with an estimated economic value of $3 billion per ton. This discovery could spark a space race among nations and companies eager to mine the moon for helium-3. Unveiling these odd, strange-colored substances doesn't stop at water detection. Remember Chang'e 4, China's first lunar rover? It holds the distinguished title of being the first spacecraft to land on the far side of the moon, an area untouched by previous missions. Launched on December 7, 2018, and landing on January 3, 2019, Chang'e 4 has been making surprising discoveries of its own. Let's take a trip down memory lane to 2019, when China's Chang'e 4 lunar rover made another baffling discovery: an unusual gel-like substance on the moon's far side. This revelation came on July 28th, as the rover prepared for its daily rest to avoid the midday sun. A vigilant scientist noticed something peculiar in one of the images: a strange, gel-like substance with an odd color. Immediately, the rover's team ditched their sleep plans for the lunar robot and began an intriguing investigation. Fascinated by their find, the scientists decided to alter the rover's objectives to investigate this odd substance. They guided the rover through a labyrinth of minor impact craters toward this curiously colored substance, using its visible and near-infrared spectrometer, VNIS, to analyze the substance and its surroundings to determine its composition. But the mystery of what exactly this colorful substance is still hangs in the lunar air. Could it be a relic of a fiery meteorite collision with the moon's surface? We're not quite sure yet, but it's sure to keep the experts busy for a while. This odd substance spotted by the rover's VNIS is igniting speculation and excitement across the globe. But despite our curiosity, the results from the VNIS analysis remain under wraps, and no images of the substance have been shared.